Doctor Strange 2 could still be starting filming in June this year. That is the headline on this Thursday's MBE Movie News.
Yes, John, that is the headline on this Thursday's Movie News. We've also got the blog rundown coming up as well, so we'll just crack on with the headline. Doctor Strange 2 still on track to begin filming in June. Just repeating you there, John. This is a bit of a surprise. Whether it's true or not is another thing, but sources are saying, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is still on track to begin production this June. Obviously, we know that Scott Derrickson is away from the project. Reports are saying Sam Raimi has picked up the project, but it's not been confirmed yet. So that kind of surprised me, John, that there seems to be some traction in the rumours that this film is set to start to begin production this June.
Yes.
With all that's going on in the world at the moment, it's no secret what's going on. There's a lot of delays, which we'll get into with other topics as well in the show, John. But what's your take on this? Because Sam Raimi hasn't been confirmed, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been confirmed to take the reins as director in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, Stephen, I think it's the worst kept secret in the history of mankind. I think Sam Raimi is supposed to be coming on and doing this, and Scott Derrickson, I think he's going off to do some Bermuda Triangle movie, which Sam Raimi, I think, had some connection with at some point. Yeah. So it's funny how these multiverses all work out. Maybe it's different versions of Sam Raimi and Scott Derrickson all come together. We're flip-flopping all over the place. I think this is incredibly unlikely. I have to say that this movie starts production in June. I think where they're maybe hedging their bets is the fact that China started their battle with coronavirus, I think, late December, early January. They have now started slowly but surely coming out of their self-imposed quarantine lockdown. They've started opening up theatres again, although people aren't going to them, even though they tried to, I think, re-release Avatar and Endgame or Avengers or something. Some Avengers film, but nobody is going what a Scottish slang in there. Nobody, if I can speak the Queen's English, is going to see any movies in China. But I think this is where they're hedging their bets, that perhaps we could be like China, so it could be a mere 3-month stint with coronavirus. Certainly with the first wave anyway. We may have more waves later on in the year, and that may then allow the likes of Sam Raimi and perhaps Michael Waldron, who's apparently coming on to write the script, the man who was the showrunner for the Loki Disney Plus TV show. That would maybe allow them to get the wheels in motion, get this movie into production, perhaps before the shit hits the fan again in November or later on this year with a second wave of coronavirus. They're also saying that the movies, the pre-production is still moving apace because they are utilising, I think, Skype calls or something like that, and they're able to bounce ideas off of each other. Disney executives at Disney, Marvel Disney, not Walt Disney, Jesus Christ, we don't have to give them the Christian name, John.
No.
Good Lord. They're bouncing ideas, I presume, off of Kevin Feige and whatnot, and perhaps Sam Raimi and perhaps Michael Waldron, and this is allowing things to keep moving despite the lockdowns, I think, that are even in place in the US at the moment. So look, it could happen, but I don't think it will happen. I think this is going to continue on to perhaps July, August at the earliest.
I think late summer, John, before we see some light, pardon the pun. But
which is a shame.
Yeah,
because I want to see this movie.
This headline actually contrasts something we were talking about earlier this week with the MCU getting into lockdown. Doesn't look like it is, according to this report. But you're right, technology's there. Why not utilise it? We will be getting into some discussions, with other production and how they're coping with it, with auditions and stuff like that, using Skype, as you said, So why not? But well, listen, I doubt it. I doubt it very much. It's going to start production in June. I think that's too early to this film's going to be a big production. No doubt about it. Probably one of the biggest films and one of the biggest characters in this phase coming up. So I do not see this really starting to sort of gather pace until maybe August, September time.
Stephen, I know you actually watched Doctor Strange fairly recently on Disney Plus. I think it was the first thing you watched. I know you'll be looking forward to this. I know I'm certainly looking forward to it. Do you think this is the final thing I'll ponder to you before we move on swiftly?
Yes.
How important do you think this movie is going to be? Because I've got a theory with this that it will allow us to. I think it's probably obvious. with Wanda Maximoff coming back and forth between WandaVision and this. There's talks that Benedict Cumberbatch's Stephen Strange will begin going into WandaVision. I think this will allow us to pluck Vision back into the MCU. I've got another theory that we could perhaps see Tony Stark's consciousness maybe coming back as a sort of AI from a different universe.
Jarvis, yeah.
Multiverse, in a vein of a Jarvis, but it's Tony Stark. I think this is Robert Downey Jr.'s entrance back into the MCU. I think this is why this movie is so important. So I think it's key that they don't get this delayed that long, because as we will get into, a lot of these big blockbusters are in a bit of a limbo at the moment, and it's putting everything out of sync. The whole MCU, Phase 4 and beyond. There's nothing you can do. I think this movie more than the others. I think they need to get this one in action. I think this is the key to everything they're going to do moving forward with perhaps other characters.
The Eternals comes out before this, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
How important will that be?
Well,
I don't know. Maybe.
I think it will, John. You know, I mean, we're starting off in a sort of safe foot with obviously, Scarlett Johansson film, Black Widow. You know, and I think, for all the razzmatazz that was going down for the whole Phase 4 thing being cosmic and mystical and all that, we start with that character. It's a bit, but I think you're right. I think that the character's important for this phase as well. You know, he's one of the big players now. Established himself so early on, in Phase 3, and was a big part of, obviously, Infinity War. Not so much Endgame, although he had the big part to play at the very end of that. But you're right, and I think the sort of possibilities that this can open up for returning characters that we thought were deceased, coming back in some kind of form, as you said, whether it be an AI version of the character, like he started out, and I think you get somebody like Paul Bettany as well. You don't want to not use him. We know that he's going to obviously appear in the television series at some point, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out from what we've seen from the trailers. But yeah, I mean, having Wanda in there, Scarlet Witch, in this sequel is a big part of it as well. I think she's in there for a very good reason, and I think you're kind of you're knocking the right doors there, John. I think there's something in that, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think it's going to be... I'm not getting my hopes built up. You're right, Doctor Strange, I watched it on Disney Plus the other day. First film I watched. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've always said it's one of my best standalone MCU films. Benedict Cumberbatch, fantastic in it. But everything in it, Mads Mikkelsen, everything, it's just a great film. Yeah. And I can't wait to see this. But listen, we'll move on, John, to our next article. This is obviously just... stating the obvious here, Hollywood's biggest movies are stuck in limbo as start dates remain uncertain. Now, we talked about this, I think, at the start of the week, the sort of knock-on effect it's going to have in the likes of Matrix 4, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, etc., etc. All these big films, especially the summer blockbuster ones, John. This is the ones that film lovers look forward to, that's our time, apart from obviously Star Wars at Christmas, but we're not going to have that for a while. It's always been the summer blockbuster releases that excite us, What's your view on this, John? In regards to, obviously, there's so many films that are stuck in production, not just ones that haven't started, but there's ones that are already well on their way as well, that are stuck in limbo, and having that uncertainty there. Studios think money, they've spent a lot of money on these films that are almost complete, but they've got nowhere to put them because they can't get people into theatres just now. Some studios have taken the initiative to stream them, rent $19.99 for 30 days or whatever it is, whether that's a good deal or not, I don't know, because you're not getting the theatre experience first and foremost. There is a difference in the way you view films at home than you do in a theatre.
Yeah, you can go to the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. You can pause it. You can eat as loud as you want. But there's just something about this uncertainty at the moment. What is your take on this? Because we're obviously going to talk about a few of the productions that are sort of in place, that are midway through or almost complete, and other ones that are obviously just try to start up obviously they can't start up just now, but what's your take on the uncertainty? Where's this going to end up? What's the sort of knock-on effect of this situation at the moment?
Stephen, I think it could have wide-ranging ramifications for the future in the next year, 2-3 years. I think it's going to knock back productions and schedules for interconnected universes like the MCU, and just studio plans like Warner Brothers and DC, what they have in mind for the likes of a Black Adam movie and whatnot, Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2, and just what the future plans would all be put into disarray because of what's happening with this coronavirus pandemic at the moment. It's thrown productions into disarray. There's pre-production things getting flung into disarray, the likes of what we mentioned there with the Multiverse of Madness, what we'll probably get on to shortly with obviously Mad Max 5 as well. There's a whole array of uncertainty kind of being birthed out of this whole situation. I don't really see where they go with this because, as I did say, I don't see this pandemic thing coming to a conclusion. Certainly the first wave anyway, for a good few months still to come. I think maybe 4 or 5 months we may have to put up with this nonsense. So that's going to fling everything into a complete shambles. We'll be maybe a year behind with all these movies. The ones that are already in the can will probably get in some degree at the end of the year, getting into next year. Movies that were meant to be coming out mid to early next year will probably have to go to late to the year after. It's just going to fling everything out. We're going to be a year behind. I think the MCU is in complete disarray now. I don't know what's going to happen there. Maybe it's good for the likes of James Gunn though, because he can get the Suicide Squad is done. He's currently drinking coffee like he's shit and editing the movie in his house. I wish I was him. Good Lord, I wish I was him and not me. That will maybe give him a chance to get that finished. They could maybe bring Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 forward and maybe start production with that early. So it may open up some possibilities that weren't there before. But for most studios and projects which are in production, pre-production, I think it's going to knock them all off kilter, and it's all going to be a bit of a shambles for a year or so yet. From the likes of Matrix 4, I mean, I think the Matrix 4 was done shooting in one place and it was supposed to be going to Berlin. That's not going to happen because Germany's, even though they seem to have the deaths under control, they're certainly spreading like wildfire there, like it is everywhere else, really. And then even Red Notice, I think the Dwayne Johnson Netflix movie, it's been knocked off of its perch, for lack of a better word, in terms of production. So yeah, bit of a shambles in conclusion.
But listen, John, we'll just touch on a few of the films that are in production or close to completion as well. As far as the Batman goes, not really sure how far along they've gone with this film. Obviously, we got those early sort of photographs that were shot here in Glasgow. I think it was maybe the second week in January. They were dropped, so we don't know how far along they are, but the Batman Extends production shutdown. Director gives an update. This is obviously Matt Reeves talking about the delays. He says, yes, we have shut down till it's safe for us all to resume. Everyone's safe for the moment. Thank you for asking, and stay safe too. You know, it doesn't really give a lot, John, other than, you know, everything is shut down. I don't know how far along, as I said, this film is in production. That quote there seems quite calm. You know, I think Matt Reeves is probably quite a calm guy anyway. But it doesn't seem too concerned from those words. You know, I think it's just a matter of fact. Not a lot we can do about it. But I think as well, John, I think films that are probably, I don't know how far into production the Batman is, but I think it will be somewhere probably in the same region as Matrix 4.
I think it started in London. They were filming simultaneously in some big air hangar, and obviously in probably Pinewood or something like that. They were filming simultaneously there. They did come up to Glasgow then. I think they moved to some other part in Scotland. So there's been a degree of a good bit of filming done. I don't know how that translates into screen time and whatnot, because as we do know, one scene, maybe half a minute of a scene, could take days upon days to film. It was like the World War Z.
That's right.
Was it a 2-minute scene or something, 3-minute scene? And Brad Pitt and the crew were here for like a week. So
that's right,
the length of time they've been shooting doesn't usually register into actual screen time, but it must be a decent amount filmed, I would imagine. Maybe slightly behind the Matrix 4, but I don't think, I can understand why Matt Reeves is not too fussed. He's not very perplexed over what the hell's going on here, because he knows he has an absolute gold standard movie in his hands here. The script is apparently amazing.
Yeah.
The cast and crew he's got on board, it's just off the scale. Michael Giacchino on doing composing. He knows he's got a winner here, in the studio will know that he has a winner here.
Yeah.
So they're not concerned. They'll get it back in production when it possibly can. Sadly not within the original 2-week
No.
sort of limit that he had in mind, but it will happen, and I'm sure it will be fan-dabby-dozy, as we like to say here.
Jimmy
Come
Cranky.
and say.
Yeah, John, listen, anyone that watches us and has been following us for the last 3 years knows how much we love our film, and I think the sort of general consensus for not just film lovers but everyone across the world is that we've just got to deal with it. As much as I was looking forward to seeing the Batman when it was coming out, I'll wait for it. Because I know, like you said, John, I think, the bigger studios have got the luxury with finances, etc. It's obviously the more independent sort of low-key sort of films that are going to obviously take a bit of a dent, but it is what it is, John. Another film, Mad Max 5, was meant to shoot in 2021. Anya Taylor-Joy is in talks for, a possible Furiosa spin-off. Now, I read this article, I'm going to put my hands up, I read it about 3 times, I don't get what's happening here, what are they talking about? So yeah, you broke it down nicely for me, John. Yes. There is a possibility that perhaps that Anya Taylor-Joy is playing a separate role, in a Mad Max 5 film along with Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, or it could be some kind of flashback prequel type thing that Anya Taylor-Joy is going to be playing the Charlize Theron character. So what is your take on this, John? Because obviously it was meant to start production or shooting in 2021, but obviously just with things the way they are, George Miller, the director, this was the thing we were talking about at the start of the show as well, is doing auditions via Skype now.
Incredible. Yeah,
I mean, it's nothing. I suppose it's not really that different to sort of screen tests. We've seen in the past where the director is as much as the audition, they want to try and censor screen presence, watching them on the screen, i.e. why it's called that. But it's definitely a new way of keeping production ticking along, if you like. Obviously he's at that sort of stage where he's looking at cast now. But what's your take in regards to the spin-off, John? What way would you like to see this if it goes ahead? Fingers crossed it does. But what would you like to see from a Mad Max 5 film? Would you like to see some kind of spin-off, or would you like to see the likes of Taylor-Joy coming in and joining the current cast?
I'd like to see both, Stephen. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Anya Taylor-Joy perhaps coming in and playing a younger Furiosa in a spin-off, because there was rumours, I think it was George Miller that says he had a script penned for a Furiosa spin-off movie. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Anya Taylor-Joy play her, because she's certainly got a more youthful look than Charlize Theron has now. So she could play a younger version of the character. She's a fantastic actor. I've seen her in the likes of Split, was it? And she was in Glass. And then also she was in The Witch, which was a fantastic movie. It was a young man that did The Lighthouse, whose name's completely eluding me at the moment, which is absolutely shocking.
Eggers.
Robert Eggers, yes. So she's a fantastic actor, and I know she would do a remarkable job in that role. And it's such a cool character as well. That's one thing I got from Mad Max Fury Road. Just that character was something about her, the chemistry, just her interactions with the brides or wives, I think, of the goddamn, what was he called that goddamn villain in Fury Road? I can't recall. It was an amazing movie, but I can't remember the villain's name. Old guy with a mask. It was in charge of the towers.
Yeah, the thing I take from this, John, is obviously the surprise that both actors, Theron and obviously Hardy, are possibly coming back to do another one, considering all the stuff that was going on in the background.
Apparently they hated each other on the set. Apparently it was an absolute shambles, and they weren't going to work together ever again. So that may explain why they're bringing in Anya Taylor-Joy for a Furiosa spin-off. Then they can maybe try and repair the damage of that relationship. I'm furiously trying to find out the name. I know that Nicholas Hoult was in it. I'm trying to find this guy's name. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. I can't.
Don't say John. That's from my mummy.
Immortal something. I can't recall his name. It doesn't matter, man. Look, doesn't
he was
matter.
Good. Yeah.
He was good. But look, I would like to see both. If it can be done then great. But look, again, this is just linking into what we says previously about how this coronavirus incident is perhaps going to knock things out of sync. This movie was supposed to be starting production in 2021. It could be now that because of what's been happening with other movies, with this studio, whatever one it is that's doing it, that this could be pushed back another year or something. So it's going to throw things out, which is a shame.
Just like we were talking about, yeah.
Yeah, because he's so obviously passionate about this, George Miller.
Yeah. Well, he's went to obviously the lengths to.
Morton Joe.
Yeah.
Jesus
George,
Christ,
as you said, George Miller, he's going to all the lengths to start the sort of auditioning, John, at least, So, I mean, we'll just have to keep an eye on this. It's obviously, the last film was such a success, and, taking an old franchise, and giving it new life, it certainly did, so we'll just see what happens there. But listen, we were going to talk about something else, John, but time pressing now. I think it's time we moved on to
There's not much of a story anyway.
Blog rundown. And you can catch all our movie reviews on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org, where we have a whole host of talented writers on the website, John, and we're going to start with a film by Stephen Wilkins, reviewed by Stephen Wilkins. Stephen didn't make this film, he reviewed it. It's Kill Order from 2017, and this was directed and written by James Mark and stars Chris Mark, Jessica Clement and Dennis Akiyama.
Yeah, Stephen, I don't know much about the movie, I can't lie, but I tell you what, that poster is absolutely magnificent. I love that little skimmed sort of cut effect. It's almost Black and Mirror-esque.
Yeah.
This thing, a lot of companies want to do this now.
Yeah.
There was another one we reacted to, it had a similar logo. But yeah, I don't know much about it, but certainly Stephen seems to think it was worthy of giving a little view, because apparently it is pretty decent. Traumatising flashbacks galore in there and whatnot. There's some brutal cinematography and sort of action going on, and yeah, I may give it a watch. I've got a lot of time in my hands now, so why not?
Certainly have, John, yeah. Probably catch that on maybe Netflix or one of the streaming channels if you're lucky.
Certainly not Disney Plus.
Talking about images and movie posters, John, this one is one cool poster. This is First Love by D.M. Anderson. This film's from 2019. This is directed by Takashi Miike and with stars the likes of Becky, Mami Fujioka and Sakurako Konishi.
Sakurako Konishi. Stephen, I think when you've got a name, you decide to opt for a single name, then you know that you have an incredibly complex name that people don't want to be saying, so you just shorten it
to Becky.
It was almost like a certain football player here, I think, get called Dave. It made no sense whatsoever. He was Korean.
Wong from Doctor Strange.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, Stephen, I like the look of this one. Dave, as ever, is just a magnificent writer, and he really has broken down the film wonderfully. Or film wonderfully. We can't say film here in Scotland, we say film. Makes no sense. But apparently it is a little bit over complicated in parts. There's a little bit too much padding in the movie. But despite a lot of mundane character exposition, apparently there's a lot of good stuff going on in here. Lots of dismemberments, beheading, some decent sword fights and whatnot. So I love stuff like that. And this guy, by all accounts, the director, is a pretty damn famous director who knows what he's doing. So I need to give this a watch. We were speaking about it, Stephen. I know you've dabbled in East Asian films and whatnot, but when we were obviously reviewing Parasite and whatnot and Bong Joon-ho movies, I did say that we need to start dabbling in Asian movies more, because these guys know what they're doing, man.
It's such a distinct said, John, we've got the time, so I've got no excuses. I've got an excuse for this next one, because I did say the last time this got reviewed and it was on the blog rundown, I said I need to catch this film based on the review. I think it might have been DM and yourself.
It was Gianni.
Oh, was it Gianni?
It was Gianni,
and yourself. I haven't got around to it yet. I put my hands up. It's
Uncut
Gems, John, from 2019, obviously the Adam Sandler film. This was directed by Benny Safdie and Josh Safdie, and stars, as I said, Adam Sandler, Julia Fox, and Idina Menzel, I want to say. I don't know.
Idina Menzel,
yeah. So there you go, John. You saw this film. You enjoyed this film. I liked the sound of this film. I was too lazy to watch this film.
Yeah, Stephen, you really have to watch it. It is magnificent. Yeah. It's one of the best performances from Adam Sandler, I think, in the guy's career. And that's saying something, because he has had some good performances in an array of different genres. Certainly, Peter, I'm not a big fan of Adam, think he says that he just didn't really connect with him. He wasn't sure whether it was the actual comedy or just the man himself he didn't connect with. But even he has to admit that it was just I love Adam. I just love those goofy comedies, man. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and Mr. Deeds. The list is endless. He's just an amazing. I love his comedy. I love the guy. Big Daddy as well. Yeah. Still get post-traumatic stress from that snot. The little kid with the snotters and the tomato ketchup. Yeah. That haunts me in my dreams at night. It really does. But I love the guy, and he's just sublime in this, and he's right what he says. Peter, I think I actually encouraged him to put this review out. He wasn't going to post it because Gianni had already did one, and I said, just fire away. Yeah. There's so many doublers anyway, and some people have got different views on films.
What it's all about.
Certainly he doesn't have a different view. He certainly enjoyed this movie, and he's right, it's frustrating, but it's also riveting. It's upsetting as well at the end, and it's just, you're frustrated because of this guy. You can't get through to him. He's addicted to gambling, and it's just reckless, and he's having to pay off debts left, right and centre. He's getting beaten up. They even get Kevin Garnett in there, a goddamn basketball player. They get him in. I don't know how they managed that, but he plays a star.
Sandler, John.
Yeah, he loves his basketball. Certainly not Boston Celtics though, which I think Kevin Garnett played for. He's more of a, I don't know what his basketball team would be. I'd imagine it'd be the New York Knicks because he's a New York man. Yeah. Maybe the Brooklyn Nets. Who knows? I'd need to ask Adam if I could somehow speak to him, which is unlikely. But what I digress, a really good movie. Yeah. And the ending, Peter agrees.
Yeah, another film coming in from Peter is Iowa. Or Io. I don't know if that's
it's a moon, Stephen. I think it's a Saturn moon.
Yeah, and John, this film is directed by Jonathan Helpert and stars Margaret Qualley, Anthony Mackie's in there, and Danny Houston.
Stephen, look, I've not seen this movie, but I recall reacting to the trailer with you, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah. Sort of post-apocalyptic world setting, the Earth's failing. I think the gases, the oxygen starting to die. These two, Margaret Qualley and did you say it was Anthony Mackie? Yeah. Are the last two people, and they miss, I think, or they're rushing to try and get the last transport off of Earth to go to Io. I like to look at the trailer. I didn't get around to seeing it, but certainly Peter seems to think it was pretty damn decent. The start was good. It dipped a little bit.
Yeah, Margaret Qualley, she reminds me of Felicity Jones for some reason. I don't know what it is. I think I remember the trailer now, John. Danny Houston in it as well. He's a great actor. Mm-hmm. Always seems to crop up in these type of films. It is on Netflix. And I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but certainly we've got no excuses.
I'm talking shite, Steve, I have to take that back immediately. You didn't think it was that great at all. No. I've just read the summary at the end. He said the intro was pretty good, but I did hint that it dipped. But he says that the story itself was extremely boring, and even though there was many technically perfect still lives, it ultimately was a bit disappointing, so maybe I'll not watch it after all. That cast as well, Margaret Qualley was amazing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, even though she was an annoying little bitch in it. She was amazing, and I love Anthony Mackie. But look, if they can't raise the bar, then you're screwed.
Yeah, we'll just wrap up the show, John, with a final review coming in from DM Anderson. It's Frozen 2. This was from 2019 and it was directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee. Jennifer Lee also wrote the screenplay for this and the story, and stars, or voice acting that is, Kristen Bell is back, Idina Menzel and Josh Gad.
Yes, Stephen, I've not seen it, but what Dave says, and I've seen this hinted at with other reviews, that even though it is meticulously crafted, as you expect from a Disney Pixar movie, ultimately he doesn't think it reaches the heights of the first Frozen, that it's not as good. And I seem to recall that the early review says that it wasn't as magical or something like that. There's something along those lines. Yeah. You've seen it, I haven't.
John, I have. It's a good film. It's not a great film, unfortunately. Like Frozen was, 2013 film. There's just something about this. It's a strange one because there was such anticipation for this, and I think the trailers kind of did the film justice. I thought the trailers were excellent, but there's just something, I don't know what it is. I don't know if the original 2013 film just kind of captured the time it came out. I don't know what it was. There's something about certain films coming out at a certain time just seemed to click with people. It's something, I don't think Disney have got any concerns in terms of doing sequels for some classic films. You just look at the likes of, it was Disney Pixar with Incredibles, how well that sequel did. For some reason, this just didn't click. I don't know what it was. I don't know. You can't even say the films were made too close together or too far apart. I think the timing of the film, there was nothing wrong with it. And to get the original cast back as well, personally, maybe the story for me just didn't work. It just didn't click for me, I think, and there was something else that was a big part of that original film was obviously the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Everyone knows a Frozen song, whether it be Let It Go or whatever, There's just something about this soundtrack just didn't click with a lot of people. There's some great songs in there, don't get me wrong, but there's something they just don't seem to stay in your head too long.
Yeah, Stephen, look, I've not seen it. I did see the original though, and you're right, earworm-inducing music.
Yeah.
Some pretty good performances and just classic Pixar things, and they're aesthetically pleasing on the eye and just great superficial stuff for the children and some deep undercurrent themes being explored for adults, and that's something that really typifies Pixar. So I'm assuming there's a degree of that going on in this, but look, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Some people may think it's better than the original, some may think it's not. That's life. But look, I am done speaking about this movie. I assume you are, so that's going to round up the Bog Rundown and this Thursday's MBE Movie News. What is your thoughts on this potential production date of June for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? What do you make about all of these big Hollywood blockbuster movies being left in production limbo or pre-production limbo or post-production limbo? What's your thoughts on Mad Max 5 potentially happening next year with Anya Taylor-Joy? Should she play a young Furiosa in a spin-off, or should it be as part of a Mad Max 5 greater movie? Did you realise that Immortan Joe was the villain in Fury Road? If you did, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. I'll try not to spit on the mic while I'm speaking. And if you do, then you will see us again tomorrow for our retro review of Dead Man's Shoes.